On the edge of a forgotten village, far away from main roads and modern life, there was a river known by the locals as the Whispering River. No one knew its real origin anymore. Old people said it was older than the village itself, and some even believed it was formed where something terrible once happened. During the day, it looked calm, almost beautiful slow water reflecting the sky like glass, trees bending gently over its banks, and a silence that felt natural. But as soon as the sun went down, everything changed. The air became heavier, the water turned darker, and strange sounds began to rise from the river, whispers, soft cries, sometimes even laughter, and always, the feeling that someone or something was watching from beneath the surface. People in the village had learned one rule since childhood: never go near the river after sunset. Many claimed that those who ignored this warning either never came back or returned completely different, refusing to talk about what they saw. But over time, most people stopped questioning it and simply avoided the place altogether. Years passed, and the river became more of a myth than reality until a teenage girl named Mia arrived. Mia was a young podcast creator who made content about unexplained stories, urban legends, and real-life horror experiences. She had built a small but loyal audience who loved her fearless attitude. The more dangerous or mysterious the story, the more excited she became. To her, fear was something you could record, analyze, and explain. When she first heard about the Whispering River, she smiled. A haunted river? That sounds like a perfect episode. Her friends warned her not to go. Even strangers told her to stay away. But Mia believed everything had a logical explanation. She thought maybe it was just wind passing through rocks, or water pressure creating strange sounds. So she decided to go there alone and record everything live. It was around 11:45 p.m. when she reached the edge of the village. The road became rough, and soon there was no path at all, just darkness and the faint sound of moving water somewhere ahead. As she walked closer, the temperature dropped slightly. Her flashlight flickered once, then again, and then she saw it. The river. It didn't look like the same place people describe during the day. Under the moonlight, it felt wrong. The water was too still, too dark, like ink poured into the earth. Even the insects were silent. No wind, no movement, just complete, unnatural quietness. Mia took a deep breath and set her equipment on a large rock near the river bank. She checked her microphone, camera, and recorder. "All right," she said softly, forcing confidence into her voice. "I'm at the Whispering River. Let's see what's really here." For the first few minutes, nothing happened. She laughed nervously and began explaining the history she had read online. She pointed her camera toward the water, describing how people probably imagine things in the dark, but then something changed. Her microphone picked up a faint distortion. At first, she ignored it. Then it came again. A whisper. "Mia." She stopped speaking immediately. The silence that followed was heavier than before. Even her breathing felt loud. She looked around. Okay, that was probably just wind or something. But there was no wind. The trees were completely still, and the river had stopped moving. Her recorder suddenly turned on by itself. A playback started. It was her own voice, but she hadn't spoken those words. "I shouldn't have come here." Mia's face turned pale. "That's not possible," she whispered. Then her camera screen flickered. The live view showed her sitting there, but behind her in the video, the river looked different. The surface was no longer flat. Something was moving underneath it. Slowly. Closer. She stood up quickly. "Okay, I'm done. This is not funny." But the moment she tried to grab her bag, her microphone emitted another sound. This time clearer. "Don't leave." Mia froze. Her heartbeat became loud in her ears. She slowly turned toward the river. And then she saw it. Ripples forming not naturally, but in perfect, controlled circles, like something was spinning just below the surface. The water started rising slightly, even though there was no rain, no wind, nothing to explain it. Her flashlight flickered again, and in that brief darkness, she heard it. Multiple whispers. Not just one voice. Many. All sang her name. "Mia. Mia. Mia." She stepped back slowly. Okay. This is just a prank. It has to be. But her legs felt heavy, like the ground itself was pulling her down. Her camera suddenly shut off, then turned back on. But now the recording showed something else. Not her. Not the river. Something beneath the water, a shape. Pale, floating, slowly, rising. Mia gasped and dropped the camera. And that's when the water moved violently for the first time. Not like a river, like something waking up. A hand broke the surface, long, pale, and unnatural. Mia screamed and ran. She didn't even look back. Branches scratched her face as she ran into the forest, the darkness swallowing her path. But behind her, she could hear it. Not footsteps. Water. Moving. Following her. Come back. The voice was now everywhere. Inside her ears, inside her head, inside the trees. She ran until her lungs burned, until she could barely stand. Eventually, she reached the edge of the village again. Lights, houses, life, safety. She collapsed on the ground, shaking, crying, unable to understand what had just happened. When she finally looked behind her, the forest was silent again, like nothing had ever followed her, like nothing had ever existed. The next morning, Mia tried to convince herself it was just exhaustion, hallucination, stress, anything logical. But when she checked her phone, her stomach dropped. Her podcast episode had already been uploaded. She hadn't uploaded anything. The title was Live from the Whispering River. Final recording. Her hands shook as she pressed play. It started normally. Her voice, the river sounds, the night ambience. But near the end, her voice changed. It became distorted. And then a final whisper played clearly. You ran, but you are still recorded. After that night, Mia never returned to the river. She deleted her channel, changed her number, and stopped making videos completely. But people who still listened to that recording claimed something strange. Sometimes, at night, when the audio is played with headphones, they hear extra sounds. Breathing. Water moving. And sometimes, a faint voice whispering their name back from the darkness.